In 2010, scientists in the Gulf of Mexico were hauling in a sperm whale when they ended up with an extra thing in their net, only 14 centimeters long and glowing all over. It had 2 pockets on its body that could spray fluorescent liquid, a shark with its own liquid perfume. No one recognized it. Tossed into a freezer and mixed with dead fish specimens for 3 years, until someone took it out and looked closely, it was a brand new species. Worse yet, only 2 have ever appeared in the world. The other one was 31 years earlier. In the Chile Trench, 8,000 kilometers away. After those 2, humans never saw a third. But this shark only ranks 5th. Today we're talking about 5 animals, each only ever encountered once by humans. Some are just a skin left behind. Some are just a pile of feces, some vanished for 158 years, and among them there's one whose DNA doesn't match any known life on Earth. It split off from all other species 12 million years ago, and to this day no scientist can explain what it really is. Let's finish talking about this shark first. It's called the American pocket shark. The Pokemon of sharks, round, puffy head like a little balloon, light gray body. Its skin is densely covered with light-emitting organs. Since the deep sea has no light, it makes its own. But the weirdest part, those 2 pockets are behind the front fins, hiding glands inside. They can secrete fluorescent liquid. In the pitch-black deep sea, suddenly something is glowing. And it's spraying perfume. Small fish and shrimp swarm toward it like moths to a flame. Then, snap, eaten. It's a deep-sea fishing light. But why do deep-sea animals glow on their own? Because below 200 meters, sunlight can't penetrate at all. It's eternal night there. Yet in the deep sea, over 80% of organisms are bioluminescent. In a world of perpetual darkness. Light is language. Some use light for camouflage, others for lures. The pocket shark chose the harshest method, fishing with light. But no one can confirm it. Because humans have only caught this one. And how much did it weigh? 14 grams. 3 peanuts. It was hauled up in a trawl net at 300 meters deep. At the time, no one paid attention. 3 years later, people from NOAA were sorting specimens. Only then did they realize something was off. Since then, over a decade. Countless ocean surveys, trawls, cast nets who knows how many times. Not a single one has been caught again. Did it disappear? Most likely not. But humans have explored less than 5% of the ocean. The remaining 95% is eternal darkness with water pressure that can crush submarines into soda cans. The pocket shark lives in there, we can't reach it. Alright, number 4, let's bring on the heavy stuff. 1989, Southern Colombia, the Andes. Over 3,000 meters elevation, clouds swirling around the volcanic crater. Someone on the Galeras volcano. Got a cat skin, half a meter long, reddish-brown base color. Covered in black patterns with dark red showing through. No one knew what it was. What cat is this? The skin was sent to a research institute and stuffed into a cabinet. No one touched it for over a decade. Everyone thought it was just an ordinary South American tiger cat. Until 2001, a scientist thought the color was too red. The pattern was off too. He took the skin out to study it, studied it for 20 years. Finally did a DNA test. The moment the results came out, everyone was stunned. It was cat DNA, but it didn't match any known feline species on Earth. Wait, how do you do a DNA test on a skin? In skin tissue. There are cells, and cells have DNA, even if the skin has been dry for decades. As long as storage conditions aren't too bad, you can extract fragments for comparison. And the comparison results were explosive. It wasn't a mutation, a subspecies, or a hybrid. It was a completely new species that branched off 12 to 19 million years ago. 12 million years ago. Folks, human ancestors were still eating fruit in trees back then. It's called the Galeras cat. Hidden in a museum cabinet for 20 years, mistaken for an ordinary specimen, a brand new species. From 1989 to today, over 30 years, all over the mountains. They set up infrared cameras, not a single photo was taken. Its habitat is above 3,000 meters, with forests chopped to pieces. If it's still alive, its numbers might be small enough to count on one hand. An independent lineage that existed for tens of millions of years, humans have only seen one skin. And then it disappeared. Okay, number 3, even stranger. In 1981, northeastern India's Namdapha National Park. Sandwiched between India and Myanmar, shrouded in perpetual mist, with dense forests so thick you can't even see the sky. Zoologist Charali Rupi led a survey team and, across tens of thousands of hectares, discovered a flying squirrel. From head to tail, over a meter long, a flying squirrel over a meter long. About the length of your couch's backrest. Its body was reddish-brown, with a white belly. The craziest part was its flying membrane. The skin between its front and back legs was orange. Why can flying squirrels fly? They don't actually fly, they glide. A thin membrane stretches between their front and back legs, called a patagium. When they spread their limbs, their whole body turns into a parachute. Jump from a height. And they can glide over 100 meters. At night, silently drifting through the treetops like an orange flying carpet. Scientists confirmed it as a brand new species and named it the Namdapha flying squirrel. Then what? 44 years later, no second confirmed sighting. Not a single one. The park is remote, but poaching, logging, habitat encroachment, the forest where the flying squirrel was found might have changed beyond recognition by now. The IUCN lists it as critically endangered, with the tagline, possibly extinct. But in 2022, someone in the same area thought they saw it. Researchers even picked up a pile of droppings, suspected to be its scat. Yes, the one mentioned at the beginning. If the DNA test comes back positive, it will be one of the most significant species rediscoveries of the century. But so far, no results have been released. The entire scientific community is waiting for the lab results of a pile of poop. Crazy, right? Second one, even crazier. In 1866, on Co Island, Indonesia, a small volcanic island north of Sulawesi, someone caught a small owl. The owl was turned into a specimen and sent to a museum. Then nothing. 160 years, no second one. No photos, no recordings, no verified sightings. It's called the Siau Scops owl, a ghost living in a museum drawer. Here's a concept to explain. This specimen is scientifically known as the holotype. What does that mean? When a species is discovered, scientists designate one specimen as its official ID card. All future identifications are compared to this holotype. The problem is, the Siau Scops owl only has one ID card, and it was issued 160 years ago. Scientists still argue over whether it's a distinct species or a subspecies. But all you have is a 160-year-old specimen, and its DNA has long since degraded. It's like a judge holding a single strand of hair and being asked to determine a person's personality, job, and home address. In 2017, someone on the island filmed a video of a small owl. Ornithologists went crazy analyzing it. The quality was poor, the angle was bad. After hours of analysis, the verdict, impossible to confirm. Tell me that doesn't drive you crazy. Later, scientists organized expeditions to the island, set up equipment, recorded sounds, installed infrared cameras. Nothing was captured. Why? Because almost all the forest on the island is gone. Surveys from the 1990s showed only about 50 hectares left, the size of 70 soccer fields. And it's clinging to the slope of a volcano. Everything else was cleared for farming, logging, and plantations. The home of an owl that depends on dense forests has been reduced to just a corner of a wall. But as long as no carcass is found, scientists won't declare it extinct. What if, in that last patch of shade on the volcanic slope, a few are still waiting for nightfall? Okay, last one, the most bizarre saved for last. In 1868, on Navassa Island in the Caribbean, a tiny dot barely visible on a map. Uninhabited, someone caught a female lizard there. Dark gray back with a few pale stripes. Looked ordinary, but it had a special feature, its tail curled up. A curly-tailed lizard. Whether or not danger was around, its tail was always curled high. Why do they curl their tails? Scientists have studied it. This behavior might be a signal telling predators, don't bother, I'm alert. Even if you chase me, you won't catch me. Like an antelope deliberately leaping high when it sees a lion, not fleeing, but showing off its stamina. Others say it might be related to territory. Anyway, nobody has fully figured it out. Like those people who always walk with their heads held high, you can't quite tell what they're proud of. 50 years later. In 1917, someone claimed to have caught another one. But decades later, another expert took a close look and realized it wasn't the same species, a completely different one. A waste of effort, back to square one, a lizard. A single specimen, 158 years old, the longest missing of the 5. And the situation on Navassa Island isn't looking good either. In the 19th century, guano was being mined there like crazy. The entire island's ecosystem was turned upside down. Later, even though people left, rats and goats invaded. They chewed up most of the island's vegetation. A lizard caught 158 years ago, its home is nothing like it used to be. Is it still around? Chances are slim, but scientists haven't declared it extinct. Because that island is too small and too remote. Almost no one ever goes there. Maybe in some crack between the rocks. There are still a few of those little curl-tailed creatures, basking in the sun. Or maybe not. That's the 5 stories done: a shark that sprays silver light, a cat whose bloodline has been independent for 12 million years. A 1-meter-long orange flying squirrel, an owl that lived in a museum drawer for 160 years. A curl-tailed lizard that vanished for 158 years. 5 encounters. Each one was the only intersection between humans and an unknown life form. And then, nothing, ever again. But what I find most mind-blowing isn't that they disappeared. It's that maybe they never disappeared at all. Maybe they're in the deep sea we can't reach, on volcanoes we can't climb, deep in the last patch of jungle we can't cut through. Thriving, just not wanting to be seen by us a second time. Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Humans, at best, have been around 200,000 years. We number, name, and classify every species, thinking we're the masters of this planet. But these 5 creatures reminded us, in the same way. Just because you've seen me once doesn't mean you know me. There's still so much on this planet that we don't even deserve to name. You're sitting in a metal ball, surrounded by pure black 1,000 meters deep. When you turn on the light, the area you can see is smaller than your living room. The colossal squid, 9 meters long, lives here. Sperm whales have their bellies full of its remains. For 100 years. Not a single person has seen one alive. Not because it can't be found, but the moment you turn on the light. The moment the engine roars, everything within a few hundred meters scatters. You can't even catch a shadow. During World War II, U.S. military sonar detected something even wilder, something rising from below, billions of tons. Every night, they collectively migrate upward, dozens of times bigger than the Great Wildebeest Migration. This has been happening for hundreds of millions of years. Hundreds of millions of years, folks. Humans only discovered it last century. But just last year, someone took a syringe full of seawater, ran a DNA test, and the people in the lab said 90% of the sequences came up as no match. The ocean beneath your feet is packed with things that don't even have names. And it wasn't billions of dollars in equipment that found them, just a single drop of water. This thing is called EDNA, environmental DNA. Basically, it's all the bits shed by every living thing in the ocean: scales, feces, mucus, skin flakes. A deep-sea fingerprint database. Every creature that's ever swum through the water leaves behind a trail of genetic code. Grab a tube of water, filter it, extract it, sequence it. No need to dive, no need to turn on lights, no need to disturb anything. You can find out who's been there. Think about it. Before, to find something in the deep sea. Back in 2012, Japanese scientists spent 4 or 5 years just trying to film a live giant squid. They spent 20 years studying sperm whale feeding routes, then turned off all the lights. Switched to a red LED that deep-sea creatures can't see, hung a fake jellyfish that flashes blue when attacked as bait. They dropped that rig 700 meters into the dark, then waited hundreds of hours for just a few minutes of footage. And what they caught wasn't even the colossal squid, that was the giant squid. The other one, the colossal squid, is bigger, deeper, weirder. Live underwater footage of it? To this day, 0. But once Edna came along, the rules changed. You don't have to be a ghost anymore. You just need a tube of water. That tube can do 2 things. First, confirm what you already know. The angel shark is critically endangered. It spends all day lying still on the sandy seafloor. In the past, finding one meant relying on fishermen's accidental catches or divers stumbling upon it by pure luck. In one area, scientists had already declared the angel shark extinct, completely gone. Then someone scooped up a few tubes of water from that area. They ran the DNA. The concentration of angel shark DNA was off the charts. Divers followed the sampling points down. Sure enough, among a group of sharks thought to be extinct, they were lying quietly under the sand. Alive and well, practically rolling their eyes at you. This technique is already being used. Tracking invasive species, pinpointing the range of endangered animals, monitoring ports. To see if anything that shouldn't be there has snuck in. It's much faster and gentler than sending divers down. But that's not the wildest part. The second thing is what really sends a chill down your spine. You can search for things you don't know about. Remember those billions of tons of organisms that rise to the surface every night? Sonar can tell you something is there, but it can't tell you what it is. If you use a net, deep-sea creatures are too soft. They turn to mush the moment they come out of the water. Use a light. As I said, the moment the light goes on, they all flee. Edna. Researchers go out during the day, scoop up a few bowls of water from the surface and the middle layers. They scan it with a universal DNA probe, not looking for a specific letter. They pull out all the genes, marking hundreds of species in a single sample. Then they return to the same spot at night. Scoop another jar. Compare the day and night data. Who migrates, what time they come up, what time they go back down. All clear. Those billions of tons of ghosts finally have a schedule. And then comes the real kicker. A marine biologist took sampling bottles down to the abyssal zone, the bottom of the trench. A place deeper than Mount Everest. The pressure is like having 100 elephants standing on your head all at once. He scooped up a jar of water there. Brought it back to sequence. When the results came out, even he was stunned. It detected a species of shark that humans have only seen with their own eyes a few times. It found traces of the giant squid, and even an animal that the scientific community thought had gone completely extinct. All from a single jar of water. No submersible. No cameras, no 100-person team. But what really shut people up wasn't what they found, it was the 90% they couldn't find. After running the DNA data from the abyssal zone, the vast majority of sequences didn't match anything in the genetic database. Not a mismatch. The database simply had no entry for them. No record, no description. No mention in any paper. Scientists gave these things a name, dark taxa. Think about that term. Dark taxa. We know. They're there. We can sense their existence. But we can't see them. We don't know what they look like. We don't know how they live. Current estimates say there are over 2 million different species in the ocean. Humans have registered fewer than 10%. The remaining 90% are all dark. And the deeper you go, the higher the proportion of dark. Almost all the water samples from the abyssal zone are unknown. Think about how terrifying that is. The seafloor beneath your feet is more alien than Mars. At least we have high-resolution photos of Mars. The abyssal zone barely has a few pictures. Now scientists are starting to use AI to chew through this unknown. They feed those never-before-seen gene sequences into machine learning models. And do fuzzy matching with known species. This one looks a bit like a squid, but not exactly. It's crude, but at least it carves out a vague outline from a pitch-black sea of data. And the best part? EDNA samples can be frozen and stored. Water collected today. 10 years from now, when new technology comes along, run it again and you might be able to read another piece. You're not just storing water, you're storing a file from the deep sea, waiting for future people to decode. So does this method have drawbacks? Of course. Some animals shed a lot of DNA. Some shed very little. In shallow water, DNA degrades quickly, the sun breaks it down. In deep water, it lasts longer, but you still have to bring that water up from thousands of meters down. And in the end, you have to compare it against the database. And the database itself is missing 90%. You pull out a string of code, the database says it doesn't recognize it, and you can only store it for now. So EDNA can't tell you what that thing looks like, how big it is, or how it lives. It can only tell you 3 words, something is there. But just those 3 words are enough, because before this, the logic of deep-sea exploration was, I go find you, build a submersible. Turn on the lights, go down, and look with my eyes. But 70% of Earth is ocean. And 90% of the ocean? You keep scanning with a sub, like holding a flashlight. Searching for one ant across all of China. Search your whole life, find nothing. But EDNA flipped that logic around. You tell me where you are. Every living thing is constantly dropping clues into the water. You don't have to go find it. You just need to collect water, and anyone can join. No need for millions of dollars in equipment, no PhD required. 1 sampling bottle. 1 jar of water, send it to a lab. People around the world are already doing it. A team in New Zealand is right now in Antarctica using EDNA to track the colossal squid. For 100 years, humans have chased it for 100 years. This time, no luck involved. The ocean covers 71% of this planet. Humans have explored less than 5%. The remaining 95% is total darkness. We spent thousands of years mapping the land. Naming every mountain, numbering every river. But this sea beneath us. We haven't even finished its table of contents. The things that have been swimming in that darkness for hundreds of millions of years. They don't care if you know what they're called. They don't need to be discovered, don't need to be named. They're just there. But now, EDNA can finally speak for them.